Welcome back to yet another delayed edition of Keeping BZ, the show where BZ, that is Brandon and Zach, show each other a video game and talk about some podcast topics, both related to the game and maybe not related to the game. Today I'm taking a look, or I'm showing Zach, that is, the 2013 super gritty remake of Tomb Raider. This was made by Crystal Dynamics, who had actually made this is the second time that Crystal Dynamics had actually rebooted Tomb Raider, because they did the first Tomb Raider reboot back in the mid-2000s with Tomb Raider Legend, Anniversary, and Underworld. So then they were tasked with rebooting their franchise again with this game. So we're going to talk a bit about it, or I'm going to talk about a little bit about it as I get into it. I'm guessing you have no experience with this one, Zach, besides things you've heard about it.
I have no experience. Well, okay, that's not entirely true. I have no experience with this Tomb Raider. I have no experience with pretty much the Tomb Raider franchise as a whole, except for a demo on a PS1 demo disc we owned. And the tiger was super scary to, like, 8-year-old me or whatever, however old.
Well, this game is slightly different than that one.
Oh, she's not square.
It's true, it's true. She's not made out of squares. So their attempt with this game, Zach, was to kind of do a more story-driven, grittier reboot where they were like, okay, so Lara Croft, she's known as this super badass, tomb raiding woman who's an ultimate survivor and can survive in these, claustrophobic and cut off from any sort of civilization. So let's make a game that explains how she got there, how she became a survivor. And that was kind of their pitch for going into this brand new trilogy, and also, trying to make things look as realistic as possible. This game got good reviews and sold extremely well when it came out, but selling extremely well didn't actually mean anything, because it couldn't eclipse this game's ridiculous budget and advertising budget. So this game was deemed a failure despite selling fantastic for a video game.
I see that the torture is already beginning. This is the one thing I know about this game.
Yes, so that's why I wanted to start at the beginning, because this game goes completely insane, like right off from the beginning, where you're like, okay, well, yeah, she's thrust into this bad situation, and I'm sure that she's gonna, be encountering some, bad things are gonna happen to her, but how over the top this game is from the outset is amazing, and we'll see in a second here. So I actually love this game. But funny enough, Zach, unlike what you usually expect with me, where I'm like, oh, I love the story and I love the characters and the way that Lara develops. No, that's actually the things that I'm kind of iffy about on this game. What I like about this game is actually the mechanics and the gameplay.
Okay, that is kind of shocking to me. Because, yeah, usually you're a very story-driven kind of guy.
Where are we? Things are starting off already just going... we're able to swim up from the shore, and then we get immediately hit on the head, and now we're in a completely different place. I don't know 100% how much this is true. I could have looked it up, but ultimately I know that this game, I believe, was originally a T for teen rating and then got bumped up to an M later into development. And there's parts of this game that kind of make me think that they added a bunch of, like, visceral gore and stuff later on just to make it make sense. But I'm not 100% sure on that. But there's definitely parts of the game where it gives off that vibe.
I do know of one QTE. Is it a QTE? I don't remember if there are QTEs in this game or if it's just like an action section. But there's basically a moment where Lara could just be impaled by a spike.
Oh, that can happen in many different, like, Zach, it's just like Crash Bandicoot. Each death animation is meticulously planned out and detailed, though, given the tone of this game, it's slightly different when you see this poor woman getting slaughtered. if you screw up. But it's supposed to convey the harsh, oppressiveness of this game's environment. But ultimately, as many game critics have loft to say, they kind of think this game just kind of feels like a bunch of torture porn.
Are you saying Lara doesn't fall down a pit and then her shoes fly up?
No. Look at this. Look at this. I have to lean her into the fire to burn herself out of this thing she's in. And that's what I'm supposed to do. And then this happens.
Oh. I didn't think it would start this early.
It starts from the very top, and this opening scene is nothing but ridiculous, over-the-top, just torture and action sequences. And QTs. Yes, Zach, there are QTs in this game.
Oh, God. No, no.
He's already in a place covered in goddamn bones and corpses.
What happened to you?
I mean, if I didn't know about the torture pornness already, I would think this was just a dramatic opening. That's just like, well, they're showing that this is like a harsh environment. Like, they're like there's story reasons for all of this.
And we'll learn a lot more about the evil henchman group as you get like deeper into this game. But yeah, it's a bit of a tonal jump from the original Tomb Raider. Oh, by the way, here's your detective vision. From the original Tomb Raider, where you enter the tomb, and yeah, you'll eventually counter some animals and stuff like that. But ultimately, it's very kind of laid back and slow-paced, where you're very carefully exploring and making all these difficult jumps and solving puzzles. And this game, it's, a lot of explosions. Originally, Zach, I was going to show you a version from the PlayStation 4 game, which we're playing this on Steam right now, but I was originally going to show you a scene from the PlayStation 4 game where there is just constant explosions for like 10 minutes straight. So I was always confused by this scene because that guy always tells Lara, hey, I just want to help you. I'm just trying to, but he's doing it in such a harsh way that I guess, she just tries to fend him off. But this guy shows up again in a second and he meets a horrible fate. And I'm just like, okay, what was his deal anyway? And of course we never find out. I do love that effect there of like the fire hitting the top of the rock wall. This game had all the money put into it. And that's the thing, like, that's partially why this game is fun, because, Zach, we talk about the advantages of indie games all the time, and why indie games ultimately lead to, a more natural, organic feeling game design, and don't feel they're pushed as, constantly through the whole corporate machine. But unfortunately, there are examples where I can disagree, where there are just some games that have just a bajillion dollars put into them, that I do end up enjoying for those reasons, because Tomb Raider in its set pieces is stupid with its over-the-topness. Like, we're supposed to be engaging and feeling immersed into this gritty, oppressive atmosphere, but Lara is just getting constantly impaled, stabbed, lit on fire, and beaten constantly while things explode around her, that I have a hard time taking this game seriously.
Yeah, I don't think there's inherently anything technically wrong with AAA. It's more just the culture and their practices that are, like, the main issue. But when there's a big budget game and it's done well, like, it's gonna have way more than your small budget indie game. Like, Infinite Wealth, for example. High budget Yakuza game. I guess technically like a Dragon game nowadays. High budget game just has a bunch of stuff in it. Just a bunch of mini games. And like most of those mini games have their own entire subplots going on. There's an entire fucking Pokemon mini game. Like, when that budget is put to good use, it can lead to some very excellent games. It's just that most of the time those big budgets are put into, let's make Assassin's Creed 50, and let's make it open world.
Yep. And let's have 1,000 check markers to check off in order to, you know, get the most out of a game player's experience. Every game has to be 200 hours long.
And I liked those open world do the check things for a while. But I've seen too many of them now. Oh my god!
Yeah, that's like I said, Zach. That guy just meets a horrible fate, and I'm still like, what was his deal? He seemed like he was trying to help her. And now for some super QTEs, once we get up here. Super QTE! Climb, 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 climb! So, Zach, this game doesn't really have what I could really say are mini games. It really is just what this game is what this game is. It's an action-adventure game similar to an Uncharted, but it's actually, like, unlike an Uncharted, it's more open world. And not in the traditional open world way where it's stupidly long and there's, like, so many collectibles to get. No, the collectibles are extremely limited in this game. Many of them are just maintained to just help you, you know, make your weapons more powerful or increase your abilities. And they're kind of contained 3D Metroidvania-esque kind of areas instead of being giant open worlds. But it has a lot of that Uncharted gameplay where you're, you know, shooting dudes and throwing grenades at them and climbing on walls and such. But I just find that Tomb Raider, for my money, gameplay-wise, I find more compelling than Uncharted just because I just like a lot of the interactivity. I like the other mechanics it adds on. You do a lot of, like, hunting in this game. You, like, hunt different kinds of animals and use their skins to, you know, craft different kinds of weapons. And yes, it's a modern game. It has a crafting system, but it's not overbearing. It just is something you're going to do as you progress. And no, unfortunately, I do not have on the graphic settings effect that makes all of her hair individually rendered strands. My computer can run it, I just didn't want to, because it can crash computers.
Might also not be the best thing to run while recording.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's another thing I heard about this game was the hair physics were really good for the time.
When I turned them on, just to test them, I can tell the game wasn't necessarily designed around them because the way the hair kind of flies all over the place and clips through Laura's head sometimes gets a little silly. Because ultimately, Zach, this was designed as a PlayStation 3, Xbox 360 game. It eventually got remasters on Xbox One and PlayStation 4, but this was still in that era where, you know, everything ran like shit and needed to be compressed to run on consoles. But yeah, here on the PC, we can run this game as hard as we want. And here we go. We got some Uncharted in here, of course, because this was the era where this was a big thing. You know, even like more modern games like, you know, the new God of Wars have this kind of climbing. It just is a thing that is just a part of modern games. How do you feel about the kind of scripted climbing stuff in these AAA games, Zach?
I don't hate it. It doesn't... I feel like there was a point where people would get mad over it. Like, it's not the most thrilling, but... I don't know, there's something... It just kind of spices up walking sequences, I guess you could say. Like, instead of walking from one location to another, you're climbing. It's a little bit more engaging. I'll take a climbing...
Right.
I would take a climbing sequence, a linear climbing sequence, over moments like, say... This is the first one that came to mind. Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, where the game makes you walk really, really slow until the conversation's over.
Right. Thankfully, to my knowledge, from what I've played of this game, there wasn't actually any sequences where you have to follow slowly behind someone and talk to them. Because usually anytime you're talking to NPCs in this game, it's all through cutscenes. So there's never a reason to have those kind of, slow walk, fake cutscenes, which I definitely appreciate.
I don't get why the slow walk even started. Oh, that looked very jank.
Yep.
She bounced like a bouncy ball. But I don't know why the slow walk thing even started, and I hate it every time it shows up. Because, yeah, at that point, I'd rather it just be a cutscene.
This game also got criticized at the time for not really having tombs in it. Like, she sometimes goes into underground areas, but she spends an awful lot of Tomb Raider on the surface, like hunting in the woods and climbing buildings. Whereas, unlike in the original games where you're in a tomb pretty much 100% of the time. So later on, the game had DLC added onto it that added secret tombs to explore in different areas in the open world.
Please respond.
I'm gonna be honest, I always thought Tomb Raider was just, like, a cool-sounding name they picked. Like, I figured there was tomb raiding, but I never heard the name Tomb Raider and was like, she must always raid a tomb. Every Tomb Raider game, there must be a tomb. Because I feel like that would get environmentally samey after a while.
Right. And there's only so many different cultures I imagine you can explore, you can desecrate the tombs of. Before you start getting into 2013 where they're like, maybe we'll try to back away a bit from desecrating tombs. There is more focus around actual tomb raiding in the sequels, but once again, they are mainly side missions, and you're more exploring, jungles and tundras and all sorts of different kind of outdoor environments. I'd say that the story and character writing gets better in the sequels and gets a lot more focused. Because in this game, it's supposed to be the tale of how Lara became this survivor that went from, this kind of girl with her head in the clouds who's reclusive, who spends most of her time just sort of, researching archaeology books and learning about all different types of, past cultures. And then she becomes, now I am forced into a situation where I must be, super survivor woman. And it's an intriguing concept to actually develop her as a character instead of her just being action movie lady like she is in past games. But the problem is that the transition, because of the nature of it being a fucking action video game, doesn't feel very smooth. Like, she kills one guy in this game, she gets really upset about it, and then she immediately kills another one and another one. Because she has to, because gameplay has to start. And she has like a throwaway line where she says something like, I'm like, they're talking about, oh, wow, you killed a man. That must have been really tough for you. And Lara says, yeah, I'm actually scared how easy it was. And that's kind of the throwaway line, just to be like, okay, no, she's actually, naturally born. She can just do this. So yeah, then she becomes Nathan Drake and just slaughters hundreds of people. But don't worry, Zach, they are all crazy psycho cultist people, so it's okay.
Does she also have one-liners as she's killing people?
Not really. Lara, they try to once again go for a more dark, gritty, serious here, so occasionally she'll say something, as a fuck you back to the people that are trying to, kill her and her friends. But most of the time, no, Lara spends most of this game just panting and screaming because she's constantly being shot at. And unlike with Nathan Drake, where he's like, oh shit, and he dives behind something and, gets into a gunfight and it's kind of just his thing, Lara is just constantly afraid of the situation she's in. She's just trying to improvise. There was actually a comic book released before the game that fleshed out all these characters we're seeing here. I did read that comic, and it reminded me that I don't remember any of the characters in this game at all besides Lara and maybe like her friend. And they all have individual personalities, backstories, reasons for why they're on this expedition. Like, we got the tech guy here. We got the lady there that's like a former police officer that, you know, started working outside of the force and doing rogue operations. We've got the survivalist guy here. The guy on the left runs like a nature TV show. And he's coming here to basically film an episode of his TV show. And funny enough, it's really that guy in the far back there in the red shirt that actually becomes important and actually is who carries on to be Laura's friend in the games after this. I think everybody else pretty much dies. It kind of becomes that kind of slasher movie pacing of just like all these characters getting nicked off over the course of the game. But as usual, Zach, it's a Tomb Raider game, so there has to be some sort of hocus pocus like lore based around supernatural stuff. That ties all into it. And this time around, it's like an ancient Japanese priestess who's called like the sun god, like a lady that just had godlike powers to control the weather. So this island is in a perpetual state of cycling through different weather patterns. So sometimes this island will just start snowing, sometimes it'll just start having crazy tornadoes or a thunderstorm, and Laura's trying to figure out the truth as to whether it's some sort of, you know, like the Bermuda Triangle. It just happens to be a part of the Earth where the atmosphere or whatever causes all these storms, or if this has something to do with, you know, an actual supernatural priestess Japanese lady.
Women versus wild.
Can't hunt with my bare hands.
Yeah, spoilers, it's a supernatural thing.
I need to find a weapon. I can do this.
And the only reason I remember Laura's friend in this game is because she's slightly annoying, and also because she's secretly the relative to the priestess lady. Because, of course, you know, always have to have somebody that's directly related somehow.
Yep, video games love their dramatic, oh, they've been related the whole time, and I'm just kind of over that.
If anybody's ever seen a movie with the name The Mummy, be it from the 1930s or the Brendan Fraser movie or whatever, every single one of them has that plot point. Everybody has to be, oh, actually, my stepmother is ancient Egyptian, so that makes me Egyptian.
The key to using any weapon is focus.
So hungry. I need to find something to eat.
So, now we get our, you know, Last of Us, God of War hunting. We must hunt the animal scene. But here, unlike in The Last of Us, where it's just like a scripted scene, here it is just like she actually is hunting for a reason, and this becomes a mechanic that actually carries throughout the rest of the entire game.
Sorry.
And now, as part of the ritual, you must cut out its heart and eat it raw.
Yes, and then she's going to, you know, obviously use the skin as a coat.
Now, I'm referencing one of the Capella's Hunt games that had a story mode.
Oh, okay. We should do one of those one day.
Yeah, I would love to show you the... Well, I mean, Chip Cheesem already did a great Let's Play of it, but I think it would be a kind of funny keeping busy to do. I just have to find a way to do it.
The land and the stars. You'll always be able to find your way home.
Oh, God. I guess they do use those antlers for something. So yeah, killing animals will basically just, you know, get you some more XP, but as you progress to the game and get more upgrades, you'll be able to harvest more from animals, which then gives you upgrade points for other stuff. There we go. Use my detective vision to tell where our camp is. It's in that away. So Zach, we debated even recording this video because this was happening right as YouTube has at last implemented their dreaded AI verification age restriction service. And we didn't know, do we even want to support what YouTube is doing at this point by uploading a video to their platform? But also, this is a series that we've been doing for years and years and years, and it was like, why not do another video? And it kind of became a debate between us.
Yeah, I was actually literally just about to make a joke, like, viewer, are you old enough to watch this video?
Yeah.
It's going to be, I don't think I'm going to quit YouTube cold turkey, mostly just because it's been part of my life for over a decade, and there are so many content creators on here that, like, I do want to support by watching their videos, but it's also just like, but it's on YouTube, and I don't want to be on the site while it's using this whole AI thing. And I feel like it won't be as hard. I feel like it won't be that hard. I have Netflix and Disney Plus that I don't use very often, and I feel like I could just treat it like when I was a kid and just, you know, play PlayStation 2. Just go back in time. Play only PlayStation 2.
Yes.
No, but I
never upgrade.
I got so many games. I still really have to get back to Infinite Wealth at some point. I'm playing Digimon. Hey, speaking of survival, I gotta play Digimon Survive. Except that one doesn't have scenes of kids getting impaled by spikes or people being crushed by rocks.
Yeah.
Remember when we climbed Snowden? You said the key was knowing.
But you told me that game's pretty dark in its own right.
Oh yeah, there's lots of child trauma in that.
You're ready for this. And keep your radio on.
Okay.
Find a way out of the forest when we use Laura's detective vision, and she instantly knows a way out of this forest.
Use it.
The design of AAA video games.
I wonder how it would feel to use Detective Vision IRL. Like, do you think it causes a headache?
Is someone there?
Probably, especially if you use it too much, I would guess. Because with Batman, you know, it's probably just some sort of gadget inside of his helmet that, you know, flicks like a visor over his eyes. With Laura, who knows how she's doing this? Maybe it's genes. Because this whole trilogy is a bit about her, like her dad and her tracking down like the footsteps of the different places her father explored. So maybe, yeah, her dad, you know, passed on his vision to her.
His tomb raiding vision.
Yep. And Zach, what you said earlier about, I think they just, you know, called it Tomb Raider because it's a cool name. Yeah, you're right. I think that is part of just how a lot of games were named in the 80s and 90s, when the idea was not necessarily that they were going to be ginormous, world-breaking franchises. And also, you know, just the attitudes of the era. You know, Tomb Raider is a slightly silly name in a modern context, especially with how we feel about tombs nowadays. Or, you know, Mega Man is not a title that somebody would come up with for a new franchise in the modern day unless they were referencing, you know, like trying to call back to the kinds of attitudes of the 90s and 80s.
There are traces of white paint on the inside. Whoever used this mask was of noble birth.
We are collecting relics because this is a Tomb Raider game. So there is some of that, but, you know, they're just out in the open in this game instead of like in the original games where you'd find them in basically secret areas hidden behind a waterfall or whatever.
Oh, do you want to know something Tomb Raider and Uncharted also both have in common?
What's that?
They both have card games. I've been looking around. I'm not going to talk about it too long, especially since I don't even know anything about this one. I've been looking around 90s, 2000s card games. And, you know, there's your usual, like, you probably expected that there's one based on Buffy, Full Metal Alchemist, lot of anime card games back then. But one I did not expect to find is that Tomb Raider got a card game back in the day.
I'm curious how that even works and like what era of Lara it's even based on.
Did you get that?
I'm pretty sure PS1.
Look for the smoke.
Yeah, let me even make sure
Okay.
that it is actually a thing, but I'm pretty sure it is.
Because the way you'll be able to tell is if she looks like a bunch of squares, then yeah, it's the PS1. If she looks like slightly more realistic but still kind of cartoonish, that's like the PS2, Xbox, GameCube era Lara games. And if she looks hyper realistic like this game, then yeah, it's this
Oh yeah,
franchise.
this is definitely PS1.
Okay,
They
that's cool.
they have her PS1 model on this product that I'm looking at right now.
See, like, when you look up Tomb Raider stuff on the internet, you'll just meet a bunch of people that, you know, say this franchise was the best one and all the other ones are shit. And, like, you know, you got people that say that about the classic games or the 2000s games or this game and its franchises. And I've played and beaten at least one game. Well, I've played most of the 05 trilogy. I've beaten all of the new Tomb Raider games. And I've beaten the very first Tomb Raider game, and what I can say is, all of them are fun. All of them are cool, and all of them are completely unique in terms of their gameplay design. Ultimately, yes, they are kind of building off of what the original games established, but I don't think there's necessarily a thing where we need to gatekeep a particular era of Lara. I think all eras of Lara are good video games in their own right. As somebody coming from the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise, which is filled with mediocre and bad video games, can we appreciate the fact that this franchise has pretty much all good games?
There's
Instead of trying to be like, well, yeah, but yeah, these good games are better than these good games. And it's like, well, who cares?
It feels like people with fan bases that are inside of other fan bases got to argue that their part of the fan base is the best. Like I finished Full Metal Alchemist Original with my brother, and now my brother and I are watching Brotherhood. And I'm realizing something while watching Brotherhood, and I'm like, damn, Full Metal Alchemist got 2 good anime.
Yep.
It's just like, can't we just
Well-
be happy that a thing is good? There's no... Wait, is there not a Tomb Raider 06 equivalent? I thought there was at least one bad Tomb Raider game.
Yes, there was a Tomb Raider and the Angel of Darkness, which was a PlayStation 2 exclusive that got rushed out the door. It was actually super ambitious. It was going to be part of a new trilogy of games that was going to be just a big ongoing story. The game had tons of like sequences where you were choosing dialogue options and just tons of lore packed onto it, but the game was just not finished. So yeah, but recently, Zach, as they've been remastering all of the old Tomb Raider games, they did a pack recently of Tomb Raiders 4 to 6, and Tomb Raider 6 is Angel of Darkness, so they did a remaster of the worst Tomb Raider game, so it is possible to play it. But yes, you're right. Angel of Darkness is seen as the bad one.
Of course, speaking of Sonic, whenever... I mean, I can't say much because I don't really know much about the Tomb Raider games overall. I would say they're probably all similar-ish enough, but also still all do their own thing. Represent Tomb Raider in their own different way. And I feel like when you do things like that, you're definitely going to have people that are like, oh, I prefer Tomb Raider this way, or I prefer Tomb Raider this way, or I prefer when Lara Croft had triangle titties.
Was that man, Matthias?
Yeah.
But it kind of reminds me of when I would watch some old Let's Plays and they would talk about that with the Sonic franchise, because there's just so many interpretations of Sonic. So there's a massive Sonic fan base, but then you got people that are more into adventure. You got people that are more into Sad AM. You got people more into the comics, just the classic series, and so on and so forth. And then you get wrong people who are into Shadow the Hedgehog and Sonic 06.
Yeah. It's not necessarily that I don't see where people that like '06 are coming from, in the sense that it was this like super ambitious game that was really striving to pushing like the platforming of the adventure games forward. It's just that it was bad both from the fact that it was rushed and from the fact that a lot of its design choices were flawed before it even started development. That's why I don't like Sonic '06, and that's why I think that people that just go, well, yeah, but it had ambition unlike those later Sonic games, and I'm like, yeah, but I'd rather play the mediocrity of Sonic Forces over Sonic '06, because I know with Sonic '06, I'll be frustrated because the game will be killing me for things I can't avoid. Whereas with, some of the later games like with Forces, no, Forces plays itself, so I don't have to worry too much about the game trying to constantly kill me with glitches. But I can understand how people might argue with that.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be here to yuck anyone's yum. Like, I mostly said that as a joke. I don't think Sonic 06 is a good game. But if you enjoy it, whatever. It's not hurting anybody for someone to like that game. But it's
I think it had like I said, I think it had intriguing ideas, which then when they remade some of the levels for Sonic '06 in Sonic Generations and Shadow Generations, those are actually now fun levels. When they're in a different video game.
When that wasn't rushed out the door. Yeah, I think generally speaking, the parts of franchises that people like are probably just the ones they grew up with. The most clear example I could think of is the Paper Mario franchise, where you have people that grew up with 64, 1000 Year Door, and Super Paper Mario, and they're like, those are the only good Paper Mario games. Everything from Sticker Star onward is utter trash. And then you get the younger generation that maybe grew up more with Sticker Star or Color Splash or the Origami King. They say, no, those games are actually really good. And, I'm just here sitting around and just being like, the Origami King is okay. 1000 Year Door is better. But that game's just good. I don't think it's anything better than just a good game.
Yeah. That's another whole debate, too, is like the different types of Super Mario RPGs, whether it's Super Mario RPG, which is just its own game, or the Mario and Luigi games, or Paper Mario, and so on.
I am much more of a Mario and Luigi guy. Which, I was just talking about
I feel that way.
Which, I was just talking about people preferring certain things because what they grew up with. And technically, I grew up more with Mario and Luigi, because I really like Superstar Saga, and I really like Bowser's Inside Story. And while I did borrow 1000 Year Door as a kid from Blockbuster, I didn't get to finish it until I was much older.
Right.
What I'm trying to say is I'm objective, and everyone else is just wrong, and I know everything.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Keeping BZ, we have all the right opinions.
Yeah, like with Zach, I played 1000 Year Door, and I was like, it's definitely the best Paper Mario game.
By default.
Yeah, it's definitely the best Paper Mario game, but I don't think it's better than Superstar Saga or Bowser's Inside Story. I think it has some interesting ideas, but it goes on too damn long. And ultimately, I just think the game's pacing can't keep up with its length. I just was like, I felt like Superstar Saga and Bowser's Inside Story ended when they needed to.
Yeah, I'm going to be real. I think 1000 Year Door only gets the masterpiece title from people because then Paper Mario came out and changed everything. And if they just stuck with the Paper Mario formula, I bet there would be a lot more debate over which Paper Mario game is good. But because we got Super Paper Mario, which changed it into a weird platformer thing, and then we got Sticker Star, which is awful and horrible, and I don't like it. I hate Sticker Star.
Who are they worshipping?
And then Color Splash
Yeah.
is just, what if Sticker Star was a little less awful? And then to be honest, I never played Color Splash, but just from what I've seen of gameplay of it, to me it just looks like a better sticker store, but it still doesn't look that good. I played Origami King. Origami King is one of the most mid games I've ever played in my life. Like, I beat it, so it must have held my attention long enough for that, but eh.
Yeah, I mean, at least you can say that the soundtrack is amazing.
See if I can fix this.
Oh, it's my favorite video game soundtrack.
From a game you also consider mid, surprisingly.
Yes. Yeah, I almost never do this. I looked up the Origami King soundtrack just out of curiosity, listened to 2 tracks, and loved those tracks so much I bought the game. And after finishing the game, my thought was, I should have just stuck with the soundtrack.
I'm trying to think of any games like that where, because a lot of games actually lure me in because of their soundtrack, but I'm trying to think if there's many games where that was ultimately a disappointment in the end when I actually played the game and experienced it, but I think most of the stuff I've played that I've liked the soundtrack of, I've just liked, or at least the soundtrack helped carry me through it.
For me, I never really understood that, although I guess it's easier to say nowadays with YouTube music and just being able to listen to the OST of games
Sure you're not
on YouTube. But I've heard some people talk about how, like, maybe one version of the game will play better or has more quality of life, but because it doesn't have as good of a soundtrack as maybe a different version, they'll just play the one with the better soundtrack. And I'm not saying a good soundtrack, I mean, I'm not saying the soundtrack isn't important. Just my thought process is, I can enjoy the soundtrack without ever playing the game.
Not if we don't live to tell it.
Yeah. So ultimately, just listen to the soundtrack and don't waste your time when there are just a million other video games that are better, even if their soundtrack isn't as good.
I feel like usually the thing that ends up being the best part of bad games is generally the soundtrack.
This island, it must have once been part of Yamatai.
Yeah, Sonic 06 has a very good soundtrack that's still remixed by later Sonic games to this day.
We're not standing on a myth.
We're standing on a gold mine.
Come, quickly. Your friends are hurt.
Probably by them.
Get back.
They can't be trusted.
So yeah, now we're getting introduced to more of the super big villains of Tomb Raider 2013.
Any trouble?
Which usually in the prior Tomb Raider games, to my knowledge, it was like
Whoever's in charge.
What are you doing?
Be quiet.
rival exploration groups that were either looking to pillage the tombs or, you know, just get the artifacts before Laura. Like mainly, Zach, a lot of the older Tomb Raider games are just Indiana Jones. Here's the lore of what artifact we're going after this time, and she races another person to try to get it. In the original first Tomb Raider ever, she's literally just looking for Atlantis, which you actually do get to see at the end.
Who are you people?
But yeah, here things are a little more dark and gritty, so now it's just kind of a, you know, tropical island that has crazy cult people on it.
Oh, the others, okay. That's a Lost reference.
Oh.
I could see how it was lost on ya.
Well, now, yeah, so Zach, you would definitely recommend that everybody listening right now should watch the show Lost, right? Especially to the end.
No, yeah, it's not like I did an entire Keeping Busy bitching about the ending.
Don't make a sound.
Yeah, I'm on it.
And now we got some stealth.
Anything? I can't find it. She's gone. Keep looking. There! Another one!
God.
But it's scripted, so it's pretty easy to know where you're supposed to be going.
All right.
It's unlike an Uncharted where it's like this race of people or this race of people are killing. Here it's just like, yeah, random white cultist dudes.
I like how nonchalantly these people are walking while also searching for somebody.
Yeah, they're just looking for survivors from, I believe, the shipwreck that we were on, just trying to murder all of them. Or just burn. Well, they're also burning down this village, so perhaps there are other people living here that we didn't know about, because there is like remnants of the ancient Japanese, you know, the people that worshipped this Himiko, this Japanese priestess I was talking about. Which you do. There is definitely a lot of audio logs and like things to read in this game, but thankfully it's all voice acted. And so this is really interesting. So, you saw there that guy looked like he was going to molest Lara in some way, shape, or form. Oh, here he goes. You're like, oh, wow, that guy's a monster. He's trying to molest her. You know what happens if you don't clear that QTE, Zach? He just, like, strangles her and kills her.
Oh. Well, that's at least
because obviously they weren't going to... Well, obviously they weren't going to animate that.
Oh, yeah. Well... Okay, yeah, fair enough. I was gonna say, well, I've heard this game has a lot of torture porn. Like that guy.
Yep. So yeah, here's the scene where she has her first kill.
Oh, God.
Well, time to kill more of them.
Yeah, but pretty much, yeah. Now we are gonna have a bit of a chase sequence here where they're shooting at us as we run. But yeah, so we're gonna get into killing a bunch of them pretty soon here. And I think it's right up here, actually. Yeah, here it is. We have our strategically placed crates from Uncharted so that we can duck behind. Like Naughty Dog's later games, like Last of Us, you don't hit a button to go into cover. Lara will just automatically crouch when you're near something. But ultimately, Zach, even though this is technically a Tomb Raider game, this is kind of what this game is. It is exploration. There are puzzles in this game, but it is just like the combat feels very good.
Oh, I guess one question I've always had about Tomb Raider, because from what I remember of the PS1 games, those controls are very, very stiff. And if I remember correctly, Lara does like a lot of. Am I remember correctly when it's like Lara like can do a lot of flashy movements while she's shooting people? For some reason, I remember her diving and shooting people, but maybe I'm somehow accidentally getting it mixed up with Stranglehold for some reason.
Yeah, like, when you dodge in the old Tomb Raider game, she will just do a bunch of, like, action movie flips and, like, cartwheels. Now, in the 2000s, like, PS2, Xbox, and GameCube Tomb Raider games, she has, like, she'll be able to, like, dodge, and if you dodge at the right time... she'll do like she'll go into like a slow-mo mode, and if you hit the button at the right time, you just one-shot any enemy, no matter what weapon you're using, which I do appreciate.
Man, I wish my memory is better, because...
Yeah, I didn't jump far enough to grab onto that thing over there. Here we go.
I wish my memory was a little bit better, because I feel like there was a period of time where a lot of long-running action series had like movies or games where their character is less experienced. But for some reason I can't remember them, but I swear they exist. I'm pretty sure I do remember a time where the characters would be less experienced, and then so they wouldn't be used to killing people or doing all kinds of action things. Like Laura, basically what I'm trying to ask is, how do you feel about that kind of storyline, seeing them a bit greener? I think that would be the word used.
Yes.
I mean, I think it works for this being a full reboot of the franchise to take it in a different direction. Is okay, this character hasn't really had an origin story per se, so I guess it makes sense to, you know, if we're going to reboot it, maybe tell an actual narrative about where this character began. Because there are Tomb Raider games like The Last Revelation that open with like a flashback segment where you play as like a kid Lara with like a trainer, but nothing that really feels like the build up to who this character will become like this game does. And I don't mind the idea of that. I think about like I'm trying to think of other examples of games that really tried to do like an origin or a greener version of a character. Because like I really like the game Batman Arkham Origins, because I really like how they portray the kind of arc of Batman in that game, where he is very much this kind of, he's so much angrier because of the death of his parents, and he's younger. He's very much like how the character is in the movie The Batman. And I really enjoyed that they actually, because Batman is such a static character that I was happy to see him get more of an arc in that story, as well as just like all the other character stuff and villain stuff going on in that game, how they focus more on like grounded villains instead of the more eccentric, over-the-top, like mutant Batman villains. So yeah, I like that game a lot. I like how that game did it.
Yeah, Arkham Origins is a very good game.
See. Do some extra damage.
I love these menus.
We should be able to... You like these menus?
Yeah. I also like those camera shots where a game is tutorializing you and it shows like the black box with the button and the camera angle. I don't know, I think it looks neat.
Yeah, I guess it does give the vibe of like, you know, somebody going through a bunch of schematics of like building something. Oh yeah, we also have a bunch of DLC outfits, that's right.
You know, viewer, despite what YouTube tells you, it is okay to like things.
Yeah, I'll just put on one of the DLC outfits, because why not? Yeah, I guess I don't have enough salvage to really upgrade anything per se. I need to have over 200. Yeah, there we go. Got a little classic bomber jacket. Now, is this going to lead into an optional tomb? Okay, no, good. So this is one of the first journals that we're going to read from the main villain of the game, who is Matthias, who is like the leader of the crazy cult people. So you get like a full backstory as to how he became super crazy cult man that got a bunch of people to follow under him. Mainly a lot of people on this island, Zach, they just got shipwrecked here, had no way to escape. And because anytime you try to escape this island, the storms immediately pick up and keep you from ever leaving. And the storms also are why, you know, you're not able to get on the island through any way besides a shipwreck. So a lot of people just fell under Matthias because he promises that there's some sort of god causing the storms and he knows how to stop it. But, you know, he also trains them to be his private army of murderers.
I would be a shitty cult member. And honestly, I'm okay with that.
Oh, I would be too. I'd be terrible at this. I would get, like, they'd kill me off for just incompetence.
Yeah, same with me. Zach, it is time for your weekly cult contribution. Oh, I'm sorry. I just bought a bunch of art commissions. I can't afford it right now.
Wait, what did he do? Wait, okay, I was going to say, I thought he just killed himself. There we go. Yep, and he shot out a flare, so now a bunch of them are alerted to me. There we go, got the headshot. Headshots give you a little extra XP. Uh-oh. Yeah, I'm not far enough yet in the game, and yes, healing is automatic. I'm not far enough yet in the game where you do actually get melees that you can use when enemies are close, because those are super satisfying. Because our little like axe thing that we use to break open doors, later on in the game you attach more stuff to it through your upgrading, and you can just like axe pick dudes in the face and just throw them at other enemies.
Oh, that sounds sweet.
Yeah, it truly is the gameplay as to why Tomb Raider Reboot is fondly remembered and why so many people still like enjoy playing this game. You know, there's still like the story does lead to fun moments, but I just never cared about any of these characters as I did like characters in the sequels, like Rise of the Tomb Raider or Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Or just whatever they're going to call the next one. Apparently there are plans to try to do another Tomb Raider, but I think they're probably just going to reboot it again and not try to continue off this series because they kind of covered every base they could with her whole Survivor arc. But then what do you really do at this point? They even made a Netflix show, Zach, an animated Netflix show that follows this era of Lara, like post all these games. But I don't think anybody watched it.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yep. And they did make a new Tomb Raider live-action movie some years back that is sort of inspired by these games.
I've had some mild interest in the first Tomb Raider movie.
Oh, the Angelina Jolie ones. I saw the first one when I was a kid, and I remember seeing the sequel at, like, a friend of my dad's house. But I don't remember them very well. But I'd be interested to watch them just to see what they're like. Angelina Jolie was really good casting for Lara Croft, like, visually. Which, I mean, you know, that's kind of part of the thing with Tomb Raider, Zach. Like, the thing that hasn't aged super well. Like, when people talk about these games, they talk about how, oh, you know, how they desexualized Lara in the new games and she's not as hot anymore. And it's like... It's like how it's been, like, 'cause I guess that's always been a part of the franchise. Oh,
The game did not like you complaining that Lara wasn't sexy enough.
I don't know. Since I don't really play these games necessarily for Lara's sexuality, that was never really a factor. My sexual awakening has really nothing to do with Lara Croft. That doesn't really matter to me. I just like the fact that these are actually really intelligently designed, at least the earlier ones are, intelligently designed puzzle games with massive environments and so many different buttons to push and blocks to turn to see what you're going to do next. I love all that stuff. Like, the sexuality is just kind of another factor of the game's identity rather than just being like what really actually defines them and makes them fun video games.
I mean, Lara Croft was the first video game character in Playboy, wasn't she? I think.
That sounds right.
And then, I believe Marge Simpson was the first animated woman in Playboy, I think? I don't know.
Marge Simpson?
Yeah. Oh, you never heard about that?
I never heard about that.
Marge Simpson was in Playboy.
Okay. Some, you know, I'm sure there's people that are very attracted to Marge Simpson. and D.D. Pickles, of course. They love their ladies with their tower-high hair. Oh, dear. How far are we in, Zach, recording-wise?
An hour.
Oh, yeah, then I'm probably going to stop here in a sec. Let's see if we can find another campsite.
Some enormous hand was holding us down. Just as the storm was finally breaking, Father Matthias came to us. It was calm and
So, yeah. Yeah, a perspective on Father Matthias through the perspective of somebody else that's like his underling is basically what this is. They really want you to be super engaged by this.
and we listened. And as we listened, he told us the truth of this island. He offered us a choice, salvation or death. Some chose to defy him. And without hesitation, he killed them then and there. Father Matthias didn't seem malicious or angry, just calm and decisive. As I stood there in the sand, wet with the blood of my comrades, I knew I could never refuse him.
Yep. So everybody under him is completely batshit crazy, long story short. So yeah, we're heading deeper into the mountains.
I can do this.
If only she could do this like Rayman and just jump up this narrow passage.
Also, why do rocks hate Lara Croft so much?
I don't know. Every piece of rock is designed to crumble when she touches it. Laura can never have one of those like hot stone massages because they just instantly evaporate when they touch her back. Okay, we got a cutscene and then a campsite, so we're good to go. So yeah, this guy is basically like a mentor to Laura that taught her a lot of her like survival techniques that she has to utilize in this game. He's not her dad or anything, just like some guy that she's known. But of course, he's injured, so now Laura must become the true survivor, which I think is actually a difficulty mode in this game.
Have you heard from any of the others?
Nothing.
Wait, what are you doing?
The wolves took my food pack. The transmitter from the lifeboat's in it. If we don't get that back, we're not getting off this bloody island.
But you need bandages, morphine, antiseptic.
And also in the pack.
Shit.
Exactly. Come here. Come on. Oh.
Oh no. No! Oh, don't do this to me, you northern bastard. Okay.
So yeah, our next destination will be to explore a wolf cave to get his pack. Because the wolves took it.
Thank God he's still alive. Wolf tracks. Oh God, what am I doing? The pack's up there somewhere.
Come and get it, Laura!
Yeah, and the closer you get to their pack, that's Laura just keeps having dialogue like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? Which is, you know, a good way of showing her development of the character she will eventually become, or she's just like, yeah, I'll just do this. This is just what I do now.
Killing tigers? Yeah, I do that now.
Thankfully, she doesn't have dialogue like that. So, you know, what do we want to do with this bow? Do we want increased damage, or do we want faster firing rate? Let's just go with increased damage. Okay. And that'll do it for now. And, yeah, I guess we'll cap off Tomb Raider 2013 here. That gives a pretty good showing of this game. See this area over here? As the game opens up, we'll be able to like fast travel back around the island, and it's like a Metroidvania, Zach. You eventually get more items for your pack that you then can use to traverse, like being able to like shoot ropes tied around arrows to connect to these kind of things, so we can climb up to them and that sort of thing. And these environments eventually become just like, yeah, these huge things we can explore to find more secret items and stash to upgrade our gear or eventually going to go to that radio tower over there. There's a lot of areas I'm seeing right now that are eventually going to become destinations down the line. The island very much is a place with a lot of like memorable landmarks. I very much do recommend this game if you have never heard of this game before or seen it before. There's definitely things to like about the older Tomb Raider games, but if you want something that is modern and accessible and the most playable nowadays, you can't really go wrong with Tomb Raider 2013. How does it look to you, Zach, from your little experience knowing of it to seeing it in action?
Yeah, I mean, it probably gets more going later on. Right now, from just this beginning part, it just looks like a third-person action game from this time period. A pretty good one. And, like, it's also weird while I'm looking at this game because it is a good-looking game, and I bet 2013, this was phenomenal. But this is now also 2025, and I'm like, it looks good, but, like, not that good at the same time. It's weird. Because, I'm not saying it looks awful in any way. It's just one of those things where I think I've started just getting used to how games look nowadays.
Yeah, I still think this game looks quite good, but yeah, it's certainly of, more than a decade ago at this point, which is crazy to think about with how honestly still kind of decent the game looks.
Oh yeah, like, it doesn't look like it's from, like, multiple generations ago.
Right. But that'll do it for Tomb Raider 2013. Thanks for listening to Keeping BZ. If you have suggestions for other games you'd like to see us play, or if you'd like to see more Tomb Raider 2013 or whatever, we will do requests if you post them in the comments, so just let us know. And we'll see what we do with the future of YouTube and what it decides to do to us and our channel and things as it goes on. But thanks for tuning in, and just like with Laura, please survive out there because things are scary.